Coming out of COVID, I think one big question we had has been answered, which is this launch of Playhouse Live for us a stopgap, or is this something that is now ingrained in our culture and our institution beyond? We believe that the future for us very much involves streaming, very much involves both streaming content that is connected to the work we're doing on our stage, but also separate from the work we do on stage, pieces designed just for the medium. And I think that's really the exciting moment we're at now. Pasadena Playhouse is a theater birthed out of our community here in Pasadena, and we are an over 100-year-old institution, which is very rare in the American theater, one of the oldest still going American theaters. And we produce plays and musicals here on our stage that we create by ourselves. And it's just one of the most special theaters in America. So I started at the Playhouse at a really pivotal moment here. It was a real challenge. I always knew this place and there were great things I had seen here, but it always was a theater that had struggles. It was a theater that went bankrupt in its history. It's a theater that has this illustrious over 100-year history that has a lot of ups and downs. The mission of the Pasadena Playhouse actually doesn't say the word theater in it. The mission is to enrich the lives of our community. And we believe that theater is this powerful tool that builds empathy, that gives voice to people and stories that aren't typically seen, because we bring people together to have shared experiences. I think a lot of us in our industry had always looked at video and content creation as a support of the work we're doing on stage. Really not as actual creative content, but as marketing. When I started here and our marketing team was sort of rebuilt and re-energized, we started taking some interesting approaches of it, which is, can you make sort of mini short films that are in support of the show, that are with that actor telling an extension of that story? So we'd played in that space quite a bit, and we, as technology becomes more and more accessible to more people, the quality of our digital content and assets was really starting to rise, and it was on par with other major, institutions creating content that way. But we had never yet jumped over into content for the sake of that content, that being the actual investment that we were making. And that's what the pandemic changed, not just here at the Playhouse, but sort of worldwide, I would say. When COVID hit, like all other businesses, it was a shock to our system at the Pasadena Playhouse. Our very nature of our business is gathering people together very close in these seats, breathing the same air. And that all of a sudden became the thing that could literally kill people. What became clear in those first couple weeks was, as a business, we really had two paths we can go on. We could hibernate. We could cut all of our expenses down as low as possible and just hold on to those resources and basically not be in operation, sleep, until it was safe to come out. We took a different approach here. We really sat and thought about our mission, which is to enrich the lives of our community. And what it really started doing is expanding, how can we do that outside of these walls of this theater? There was a new way of thinking about this, of how do we use the tools of technology that we were starting to, as I was explaining before, but how do we take that, and that shifts into the role of primary program delivery. We realized pretty early on that we were not just interested in the Zoom theater in this, we were interested in replicating the quality, which meant to us that had to be on a pretty higher end experience for the patron. It could not just be go to YouTube and watch one of our videos, or, it was really about the delivery system matching what we were doing everywhere else in terms of apps and multiple ways of getting it. So those were all the questions we were asking, which was, how do you translate the attributes of our existing brand into a very new delivery system? We did a lot of due diligence on trying to figure out what was already in the market. We knew we did not want to build from scratch. We are not the size of institution that can afford to do that, particularly at a high level of quality. And we were looking for an out-of-box solution that could be customizable. We were looking for something that could deliver across multiple platforms. And we were looking for something that was easy to manage with a reduced staff. and that could deliver the high quality of content we were looking at. And so we narrowed down our options, and Uscreen became the front runner pretty early on. The pricing model worked for us. The scalability of it worked for us, particularly as we were entering a market we had no experience with, that no one had any experience with, and we were in a very uncertain time. So all of those factors came together, and that's when we approached and started talking to Uscreen. Our patrons have been very happy with the platform that we launched. You usually only hear from patrons when there's something really bad, and we didn't hear anything from them in terms of the bad. They've been very pleased with the content we've been putting out, and I think the delivery system they've been equally pleased with in terms of the ease of use. It was a relatively seamless transition, and we've heard from many of our colleagues and many people around just how impressed they were with what a slick and intuitive interface we launched in such a short period of time under these conditions. One of the very special things about making theater is that you sort of have to be in the room where it happens, right? It only exists once, and the play happens and everyone was in the room. And that is beautiful when you were in it, when you were in that moment, but in many ways that excludes a whole lot of other people. It's about how many people we can get in here each night, and that's it. So all of a sudden, when we started retuning our brains and thinking much broader, and not having those boundaries, it completely changed the way we thought of who we were making our work for. All of a sudden, we started thinking of this more as a global community, that the work we were doing could serve different pockets of audiences anywhere in the world. When we looked at all the countries who were watching our content and engaging with us, it just immediately expanded. Our brand was already really well known all over the place, but people never got to actually be here or engage with this. And this solved that for us. This really opened the doors to allow others who could not be physically here to engage with us. And that, to me, is the ultimate accessibility. Uscreen was a great partner for us in trying to pivot quickly, get up quickly, articulate what we were trying to do, and get out into the world. And we're truly grateful and really lucky that we had such a smooth experience with all that. It was really a great intuitive way for us to test new things and try it, which we're still doing today. As we talk today, we haven't been up for even a year yet. So we're learning as we go, but it was we've become more nimble as an institution and more flexible about putting something out in the world and learning from it and then deciding what our next thing is. So we see it all as upside at this point, really, from our launch of Playhouse Live till now.